Hello, loves. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I relate more to New Year starting in February, more in sync with the Lunar New Year. Do you know about the Lunar New Year? It's often known as Chinese New Year. Where I live in Vancouver, Chinese New Year is a huge thing and the celebrations really get underway. For me, January is more about incubating and getting clear. So the year time frame is filled with occasions to celebrate and to honor and to really think about what's transpired, what's gone down. And then with that clarity, to then make changes and to plant some seeds. Knowing more, you plant more fertile seeds. The 1 year cycle is filled with lots of cultural and seasonal transition points, times when we are culturally encouraged to acknowledge what's past, what's gone down, what we've learned, where everything that's gone before has brought us. And from that clarity, that rootedness, then we look ahead. Then we make plans. This is actually counterculture, by the way, to really take this pause. We can see that so much of where we are today is a result of how we've been living. Let me just say that again. So much of where we are today, of who we are today, is the result of how we've been living. The good way that we've been living, the healthy way, the stressful, the joyful, the not so conscious, and all of the blessings, all of our good fortune, all that accumulation. And we're here to take stock of that. And again, it's a big deal. So let's start with talking about the Lunar New Year. So let me explain why January is not actually the New Year. So if you research what is a year, let's just start with what is a year. We all can't agree on what is a year. I mean, it's like, it's a mess. A year is 300 and some odd days. A year is 12 months. A year is a solar cycle. So I'm going to lay down the definition of a year, and everything is based on that. So we are working with a year that is the Earth makes a full revolution around the sun. We make it around the sun, takes approximately, but not precisely, 12 months. So after the Earth has gone around the sun, the first new moon after that is the Lunar New Year. There's a lot of confusion around that. A lot of people will think the first new moon of January, because we think January is the New Year. It's not that. Earth goes around the sun approximately 12 months. There's a new moon. It usually happens in the first 2 weeks, sometimes the first 3 weeks of February. So the date of the Lunar New Year changes every year. It's often known as Chinese New Year because Chinese culture celebrates their New Year according to the Lunar New Year. So most of Western society operates on the Gregorian calendar. This has a lot to do with religion. This is really interesting when you really dig into it. So it was a pope named Pope Gregory, I can't read Roman numerals because they never taught us in school. X and 3 1s, whatever that is, the 13th. So he decided to refine the Roman calendar and correct the seasons. Is this not an awesome potential sample of like the patriarch just taking control of natural Gaia cycles? So he rejigged it all. And since then, we've been living according to the Gregorian calendar. It gets really confusing because a lot of traditional religions will go by the lunar calendar. So Easter changes, the date changes every year because the Catholics decided Easter would go by lunar. Rosh Hashanah, Ramadan, all go by lunar. They change every year. But this is the whole point. This is it. And then we'll move on. The Lunar New Year begins the first moon of the year, a year being the Earth has made its way around the sun. Personally, and this is really why we're here, I have never vibed with New Year, New You, January 1st. And when I bought into all of that marketing hype I felt like I was behind and a little bit lazy, and something was wrong with me because it just on my couch in my fun bun, still kind of burning stuff and letting go and not really wanting to start fresh things. And then I get, the team would kind of be ready and we kind of get into this hype mode and be like, I'm still not clear what we're doing. I don't know if we're going to can this project or, yeah. And now I've just learned to like go with that inner knowing. And it's been this dance over the last decade of just sensing how my body feels, how my psyche feels, what I actually want to do when I wake up in the morning. And then look, paying attention to what's actually going on with nature cycles, natural cycles, winter, spring, summer, fall, and what's going on in the sky with planetary cycles. And I've seen that more and more. I'm actually in sync. And the more I do I put in air quotes always, my spiritual work, the work of stillness and contemplation and all the things I do to cleanse. I really believe it. Spiritual work is 80% cleansing practice. The more I feel in sync with what's going on planetarily. And I have learned that it is way better to go with that flow than to go against it. So in many traditions, 10 weeks before Lunar New Year, this is really celebrated with Chinese culture. That is a time when houses are scrubbed, cleared out. You cut your hair, you sweep. It's all about removing any lingering, stale, negative energy. That is what January is for. And if you really pay attention, it's possible, highly possible, that you will feel that natural urge to be letting go. So it's not so much a nesting, it's a catharsis happening in the dark. Yeah. So a few years ago, I was in a business meeting and there was a lot riding on this business meeting. It was with a potential collaborator, and I was joined by a girlfriend of mine who was also a great advisor to me. And she was there to make sure that I kept my head on straight. And the meeting, fortunately, made it clear that the business relationship was not going to be a good fit. I'd been really hoping that it was going to be a great fit. And my girlfriend and I walked away, and I just remember leaving the hotel, and we were in the parking lot, and we were just like, what are we going to do now? It was really clear that I just had to burn all the plans that we had made. So I was pretty deflated. We went straight to the pub, sitting in the corner of the pub. It was time for like a beer and a taco. And I was just like, all right, what's the plan? And my girlfriend pushed my day planner to me and a pencil and said, all right, you got 5 minutes. I know she was trying to pick me up, but this was going somewhere. You got 5 minutes. I want you to think about all the highlights of this last year. What lit you up? What was a good time? What melted your heart? What were you most enthusiastic about? You only have 5 minutes. Go. Do not even think about it. Don't get in thinking mode. Just feel. He's like, all right. So let me ask you, what were you doing a year ago from today? 6 months, a quarter ago from today? It was like, what was happening on the surface? More importantly, what was happening on your interior? Who were you becoming, and who have you become in that really short amount of time? And also, it might not seem that short. So much change and transition and real deep transformation can happen in a year. So the downside of not looking back, of racing through it, is that another year may have passed and we're not feeling that much closer to our true fulfillment, our real fulfillment, that much closer to ourselves, that much closer to each other. I mean, really, one of my hopes and intentions is that at the end of this course, this program, not only are you going to feel closer to however you define life source, you're going to feel closer to yourself, and then you're going to feel more connected to the people around you because we're in this together. That unconscious to-do listing, that going and going without pausing to reflect, that is reactionary living. Reactionary living. We're just reacting to what's coming our way. We're just sort of fielding what's coming at us. There's a better option. It's called proactive living. We're getting in front of the change. So let me tell you what we did with Team D. So with each teaching, I'll tell you what we did as a business. We let go of clients that we weren't aligned with in the winter. So we were working with we had $1 billion client. They weren't giving us $1 billion, but this is $1 billion consulting firm. And I felt pushed and not in a rhythm with them. And it looks great to say that we worked with them in the past, and it's a beautiful thing, opened some doors. But the lesson was that when we really lovingly let them go, really respectfully said, we think this is feeling like uphill for you. And so it's feeling uphill for us. So why don't we just surrender, and we don't have to move forward with this? They expressed some awe to us. And, secretly, I was hoping that a lot of the women on the team in that business culture were going to quit. I was like, I hope those babes peace out now, because we showed them how it's done. But there's a lot of letting go. We let go of, and this is going to sound counter to, I'm here to help us dissolve thinking around grind culture and forcing ourselves to go against our natural cycles. But we let go of our practice of Flexi Fridays. We're very much in startup mode. And so there's been a lot of team shifts and a lot of systems we burned down and all of that. But one of the things was, the old way was we were all available Monday to Friday, but Fridays you weren't really expected to be on call. It's when everybody booked their massages, went to the dentist and all of that. And we really used it as a perk to joining our team. And it felt really loving and organic and enlightened for the few years that we did it. It's not appropriate for where we are right now. It's like, and I've also, with the kind of people, the kind of leaders, I'm hiring leaders now, that are on the team. We get the work done when we are able to get the work done. So if you want to work on a Sunday night because you just put your kids in bed, then you work on a Sunday night. If nobody is reluctant to message each other any time of day because there's no expectation that you have to reply. And we're in startup mode, so let's go. So there's no Flexi Friday. We're go until we are stabilized. This is what's required in startups and in childbirth. We're on. So we nuked a lot of branding that I never liked. And then so we have a process called Free and Clear. And I do that every year personally. It's available, it's in our shop. But Free and Clear is basically what didn't work this past year and how did you feel about it not working? This is where, we take a holistic approach to review processes, right? And then what did work and how did you feel about what was working? And then I bake in an exercise that I borrow from Abraham Hicks, where the exercise was you envision your ideal 12-hour day. But I added another dimension to this. What's your rational, doable 12-hour day? Like, you still live where you live and you've probably got the same job and you keep your spouse and you keep your kids, right? Okay. What would a great 12 hours day look like? And you can be fantastical. You can be making the money you want to make. You're meeting your friends for lunch. You got time for all the things. Okay. All right. And then what's your fantastical 12 hours a day? Like, you teleport to Morocco and you smoke a hookah and you do creative things and you dance and you're painting and you are whatever. Somewhere in between that is possibility. And when you get clear on what worked and didn't work in your past year and how you felt about that, and you look at your ideal 12 hours, that's the life you want to be creating. So does your calendar reflect part of those 12 hours? How do you make that 12-hour day happen? What's that lifestyle look like? You've got to keep your calendar pointed in the direction that you want to go. Do you want to be doing what you're doing now 3 years from now? No? No? Yes? Then today reflects that, whether it's a no or a yes. Maybe you got to do what you got to do, and you got to pay the mortgage, and you got to have the same clients, and you're just learning, and you're just building all these things, and you're building your muscle. You got to do it for now. You got to bake in a plan to get that off your plate within X amount of time. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the same thing in 3 years. and you will feel pinched and you will get burnout. You have adrenal fatigue, possibly. Okay. This is all code. The universe is run on love and mathematics. This is where they meet. Lunar New Year. By the way, it's a great time to refresh your altars, to do a right and burn, have a salty bath. If you can ocean swim, cold, hot, cleanse, cleanse, cleanse. Saturday is the day. Set your intentions. Because everything you do in sync with the planets is blessed with that energy. New year, new blessings, blessings for your newness. Choose to expand. The soul's objective is to expand our consciousness, to free our life force, and to increase our oneness awareness. So just think about all the challenges we've received. Those challenges were to free your life force and to help increase your awareness that we're all interconnected. Expansion often reorganizes or obliterates previous structures. That's what's happening on the planet. I know it's painful. Expansion often reorganizes or obliterates previous structures. Expanded consciousness reveals new capabilities we couldn't imagine from our contracted point of view. Expanded consciousness reveals new capabilities we couldn't imagine from our contracted point of view. So when you get on the other side of the challenge, you're going to see capabilities, the superhero quality of you didn't even think you had, but you made it through that. You know more of who you really are, your true nature. Love is what lifts our consciousness higher. Love is the expander, and love is a choice. Choose to expand. Thank you so much for listening, for feeling, for spreading the word. With love.